Hey everyone, this is my YouTube channel for my little gaming YouTube channel. I have a second one that I do like some fishing stuff on and stuff, but I just wanted to kind of like go over a few things that's kind of like been bothering me, and it's had me have like a really hard time gaming or playing any games lately, and it's just not finding the fulfillment in any game that I come across now. Like I get a little bit of fun out of it for a little bit and then I just stop playing. And one of the games that I used to love like all the time would be like World of Warcraft, right? And I used to play this game like day in, day out. I played a Disc Priest and a Hunter. Those are probably the two biggest classes that I played. Mainly a Disc Priest, right? And that kind of changed over the years as WoW kind of changed and evolved, right? And it's just not the same game as it used to be, right? And it really, truthfully, I think it boils down to a lot of games that are there just seems like every game that comes out lately now is like too flashy. Everything has to be exploding. Everything has to be behind some kind of, you know, paid wall or some kind of, you know, subscription or some kind of, which I understand they got to make money somehow, right? But there's other ways to do it, like with smaller microtransactions that I can kind of agree with, right? But even like uh they have like a seasonal, right? They have seasonals, which I participate probably more in lately because I can just get in and out of the game, and I just don't feel like I have the time to game or play as much anymore lately. Um, and I'm just gonna start. I opened up some tabs up here at the top, and I'm just gonna like I didn't really know how to go and approach this video, and I just wanted to put it out there on the things that I was thinking about and like things that I think would honestly make games much better. Um, that a lot of companies really don't do. They just smash through the games, make them, push them out, and then fix whatever bug fixes along the way. Um, and then yeah, that's how they approach a lot of games. And nothing wrong with any of these games I play. It's just like I can play them for a while, and then I find myself getting bored, and then I keep going back to why do I find myself getting bored? And it's because well, there's no real meaningful progression. There's like for instance, I'm gonna start with Path of Exile, right? Path of Exile, I love the game, awesome game, right? This game right here, um, does this look like fun to you? Hello, does all this explosion, everything else going on, right? I don't even know what's going on here. This game has just too much going on for me lately that when I get to this point in the game, that this is not fun to me at all. Like, people really enjoy that part of the game. Like you could see him going through and just blowing up everything in the game. Which some people might find that kind of like getting to that level and strength, but once you finally get there and you can defeat everything, what more is there to the game other than like what's the real end game? Like there has to be a real end game, and I don't see it past this point besides blowing up everything and getting as strong as you can get, right? Um, so and I feel like a lot of these games lack that. Like there's like the story you go through with Path of Exile, but then you get to the end game, and then oh, here's another prime example right here. You're just bogged down by so many item drops. Like I wish any kind of games like this, like Diablo, Path of Exile, these kind of games would just like you ain't got to go through and do all that. You ain't like slow it down. I feel like that would make games more better, right? You could take Path of Exile and make less drops in the game. And I know you can get an item filter and everything else and filter out most of the items, but and that's probably what this guy already has on as an item filter to filter out a lot of items. So you don't even see them drop to begin with. There's probably tons of items that dropped on the screen right here. You just don't see them all because maybe he has an item filter. But that's just my prime example. And plus, you need to have a degree to even understand and play Path of Exile because their skill tree is God whack. Like this looks cool and all, but at the same time, this can't be like that's I'm just spamming a button, trying to dish out as much damage as fast as I can. There's not really I don't know. Maybe some people like that. I just don't find that necessarily enjoyable, right? I like these style of games, but when they get to this point, that's what bothers me. And I think I'll get on to, let me pull up Diablo, right? Diablo 4, and that's probably what I was excited about when Diablo 4 first came out, and I watched some of the content. It didn't look as the game wasn't all exploding. You got more fights, they're more interactive fights, but then I noticed that it start transitioning to more of a Diablo 3 style where now you're just spamming and cleaving everything down when each individual ability should have meant something, right? Like each little arrow you shoot as a rogue should have meant something. And it doesn't. You just feel like you're just spamming everything going through a game. Um, yeah, it's just I'm starting to find even these kind of games like where I like a game that's just you can actually see the combat and you can slow it down some. Like there was nothing to me in my mind. There's nothing wrong with taking Diablo 4's combat, slowing it down, making each individual arrow matter, make each individual character their abilities matter in different ways, not just spamming the same ability because well, that's that's all you got. You're just using your generator to spend your resource, right? You're trying to generate resource and then you're spamming it on Diablo. But just my point being is like Diablo 4, Path of Exile, they're both the same in a sense, and that when you get to the end game, and at least in my mind, and like Diablo 4 is a little more easier for me since I'm a dad and I come home with kids and I have a wife and everything else. It's a little more easier for me to get into and understand. I can't get into Path of Exile. That is too much. When I finally start, I feel like I dive so much into it and I have to waste so much time to even learn the game correctly because they changed the skill tree up. There's all these different, like I don't even know what I'm getting into. Diablo 4 is at least a little easier for me, right? But my point being is like even both games, there's not a real like community. More so, there is more so with Diablo 4 than there is Path of Exile. Path of Exile, I never found it fun when I was playing with my buddies in it to go on the same map and go both of us go blow up everything. I'd rather not play with anybody because it felt like we were both blowing up everything and I couldn't see and he'd be way ahead of me and maybe his character's way stronger than mine and he's just nuking everything, right? So my point being is that if they would just slow things down, make combat more, mobs a little harder to kill, make the bosses more interactive, with more, and I think Diablo 4 does that honestly a little more because they have more uh like real world bosses that you would come across, right? Compared to from what I've seen so far, compared to Path of Exile. Path of Exile's bosses or in-game content, it's just um I'm not trying to bash on either game. Like they're both different in their unique way. Like the one is one way, obviously one is the other way, but um I don't know. Just let me get off the Path of Exile and Diablo kick right now, and I'll get on to like just other games, like other MMOs that I come across. Going back to World of Warcraft, right? And this is classic right here. Let me go back to retail. Like even retail right now, right? Retail has gotten so far. Like, does anybody really enjoy these damage numbers that are coming up? 56,000, 100 and something thousand. Like for like does anybody really enjoy those damage numbers popping up? That's kind of ridiculous to me. Like why do characters have to have? I don't even know how much this dude's health is. Probably 100 or something. I don't know. I haven't played the War Within at all. I haven't even bought it yet because um, there's something in the back of my mind that tells me that I will not be satisfied. Like maybe I'll play it. I maybe get to the end game, get level cap, and then I'll just stop playing because there's nothing that really pulls me into the game anymore. And it's probably because everything's just spammed out. And WoW's on a whole nother kick anyways. There's probably plenty of people making videos about it. But my point being is that these type of games, like I truly believe that WoW has some of the best dungeon systems. They have probably some of the funnest PvP minus um, there's this tab targeting, right? If you go to New World, which I don't have a video up here for New World, I think that's what I kind of liked about New World. It's the only one that their PvP, like if you're aiming a bow, you actually have to aim the bow, right? There's no tab targeting with New World right now. At least what I've seen so far. I know people are complaining about um, something coming up now and making it easier for console players or something. I don't know. I haven't played New World. I don't know nothing about it. But one thing that I can say that I do like about it is the whole actually aiming your shots. Right. That's kind of cool to me. But obviously, it's a different style kind of game. Some people prefer tab targeting, and some people don't mind aiming and shooting. Right. So I understand the difference between the two. You can't make you know both types of people happy. Some people might just want it one way or the other. But just in general, like even going into classic WoW, and I think that's probably what is so nostalgic about classic WoW is you see the combat system here. This is way slower. It's really easy to understand. Some people might not be able to uh, like they don't like that. They like it much faster. The combat system and everything to be faster. Let me see if I can skip through and we can see some other stuff. But just the exploration of the game, and that brings me to my next point. Exploring the game, right? Classic WoW had a lot of that. What I think it could have done better with is something that Skyrim does, right? The Elder Scrolls Skyrim does is exploring the game, finding you know unique items just laying around the world, finding unique things. Like I don't know, I feel like um a lot of MMOs could do that, right? What is hard about taking in an MMO for a GM, and let's say World of Warcraft, to take and be like not even say nothing to nobody, take you know a nice random rare weapon that people don't normally find, and instead of just putting them in a treasure chest, right? Just laying like put the item in the world somewhere where people can come across the sword and it's stabbed in the ground. And they wonder how it got here, and they can pick it up. Or like, what is hard about implementing that? Having somebody going through, but usually everything's more streamlined. Like it's just inside these games, there's just stuff usually in the same spots, right? But in MMO, I don't think they can. They don't have to sit there and do that. Like you can. I don't. In my mind, like there's nothing wrong with putting stuff in the world, or even So WoW somewhat does it right, but there's to an extent, right? There's a certain mob in the world, and he may have a 0.01% chance to drop this, epic dagger or rare dagger or sword or something. But it comes off of these specific mobs. Like, don't do that. Make it where those things come off of any mobs. Maybe more so these mobs, but any mob can drop them. And I don't know if WoW necessarily does that. Um, I don't know. I have yet to see that. Usually, any mobs that I get a drop from, and I kind of look them up online, it's like those specific mobs. I don't know if WoW's changed that or not, but I think it just makes exploring the game, grinding mobs, running around checking out different zones inside World of Warcraft. Right? Let me go back to WoW and just seeing like all the areas, flying to a different zone, you're checking it out, right? Like this down up in here, and okay, cool, you did this quest, but oh, what's over here underneath the waterfall? What is that down there shining? Like they could easily add that, right? And it's only specific for you because a GM had went in, placed it down at that time, and you were the first person to find it, and that's it. It's gone forever. As long as you found it, maybe they go through and place a different item, in the game. So I don't know. I know I'm just kind of like ranting on about different games like this, right? World of Warcraft, WoW, all that. There's just there's something about slowing the pace down that I think just makes games a lot better. Like, let me go into this guy's video right here. It's like 2 minutes or whatever. I'm just showing his video. Nothing towards the streamer. I think he did a good job, recording this video. It looks kind of cool, but at the same time, I really don't know what's going on. Everybody's AoEing right here. This is a world versus world in Guild Wars 2, right? And something that I do want to point out that I do like about Guild Wars 2 is you see how their abilities are just laid out. There's no add-ons like crazy. Their user interface is pretty clean overall. I can kind of respect that. The Guild Wars 2 keeps it the same. You can't swap this ability from this spot, number 1, to number 3, right? You could probably re-keybind your mouse or something to press the abilities in a different way, but overall, you can't swap them around, right? And you may be able to swap up in here, but these are basically based off um, your weapons that you're using, right? So Guild Wars 2, I mean, even so, the game is cool. I like the concept of the world versus world. It's all a Zerging fest, though. At least you can kill people in Guild Wars 2. It might be a little harder, right? Compared to Elder Scrolls Online. It seems like everybody in Elder Scrolls Online are just, they're all just healing like crazy. Everybody just heals. Every spec can heal. Everybody can go back full health, and maybe somewhat with a little bit of most MMOs you come across now are starting to be like that too. Even World of Warcraft, pretty much everybody has different heals now, and that's because I think in WoW they're trying to cater towards like Mythic Plus dungeons and stuff like that. So everybody needs to have some kind of utility. But even when you look at this game, like the combat in here is pretty cool and all, but I really don't know what's going on. One thing that I can respect about Guild Wars 2 is the health, right? 28,000. Okay. It's not a lot. Like, it's more than I like. Like, I'm okay with like 6,000, 8,000. Why can't we just crunch the numbers down to that? Like, that to me is simple. And I know usually in a lot of these games, the reason why they don't do it is because when they get into the micro numbers of like poisons and, affixes and different stats they add into the game, they can change the damage numbers. They probably have to increase the numbers as a whole, right? I imagine that's what, where is it at? Right over here. I imagine that's what Elder Scrolls did, right? That's why their numbers used to be low, and now their damage numbers are way up here, right? Um, but even these type of games right here, right? The one thing that kills me with Elder Scrolls and what turns me off on this game, right, is that obviously you can't compare Elder Scrolls to um, where is it at? Skyrim, right here. You can't compare Elder Scrolls to Skyrim because it is not the same type of game. It's a completely different type of game. But it does bum me out that the game is just so fast paced compared to what I was expecting coming into an Elder Scrolls game, right? So like this game, sure you're going in, there's fewer abilities, so you're kind of just going through and swapping your weapons back and forth between the different abilities and stuff. Look at the buffs. This is ridiculous. Who actually reads this? Let's be real. That to me is ridiculous. Like I don't even know what's going on right there. For one, and number two being everybody in this game right here looks like a Naruto character, just running around with their arms back and then just running around spamming abilities, running around. It just I think less is better sometimes, right? They could have took this game, made it where you know more of a Skyrim style kind of game, slowed it down. The sneaking be cool in this game. This guy's over here humping this other dude. But in general, I only get the basic concepts of what's going on in this game because, well, I played a little bit of it. I played a little bit of Guild Wars 2. I played, um, I played World of Warcraft probably the most, right? Um, I think where I'm getting at is that I feel like a lot of these games probably lack, um, they lack like that end game that people are looking for, that community, something that's more slowed, right? Let's just say this. This is a game that I've always thought about that would be kind of cool. If you were to take World of Warcraft, right? And let's say what's a cool game that you like to do, like that people like to play, like different MOBAs, right? Like we'll use League of Legends or Heroes of the Storm. Let's take World of Warcraft, same game, and you add the not the same maps, but you make your own maps, but do a same kind of tower system in World of Warcraft. as you do in like Heroes of the Storm, right? You have your towers, you take down your towers, or whatever else. I think that would be a cool in-game content, right? You could do the same thing with Diablo. Diablo can have that same kind of vibe, right? Um, Diablo 4 can have more of a better PvP system in it. I don't particularly enjoy the PvP system in Diablo. I just feel like it's everybody at the end of these PvP kind of games. It's just like blowing up. It's either trying to get as much sustain as you can to survive, and then blowing people up, right? And WoW back in the day, if you weren't a healer, you were just doing damage, and that's okay. I feel like having a dedicated healer in a group, yeah, it can make the difference on your team fighting, a 2v3 situation can make the difference on you surviving because you have a healer healing you compared to the other 3 DPS. Like, it doesn't seem the same anymore. And WoW is more of a Zerg fest. Obviously, there are some scenarios where some people are looking, game better and stuff like that. But just for the average person being able to get into a game and just, you know, play the game and not be smashing buttons and a million different explosions go on and you're healing somehow through it because everybody has to have a heal now, I think just kind of ruins, you know, the game for a lot of people, right? And two, going back to exploration, there is none of that anymore in most games, right? And there should be, like, if you don't want to do a dungeon and you just want to go and explore the world and you find cool stuff to upgrade your character, and maybe somebody put out there, they put this legendary sword out there and there's only one of them, right? And nobody knows about it, but somebody came across it and they were lucky enough to get it, right? That's okay. I feel like that's okay to have in a game. Just because they didn't have to earn it, they just went out and explored it and they found it. And everybody else complains like, oh, they got a legendary, like, yeah, that's okay. I feel like that's okay. That makes the game fun as a whole. Um so this is just kind of like my little rant that I'm kind of going into about all these different games and what makes them fun, right? With classic WoW, even I'll even go into hardcore WoW and why I think I found that pretty fun overall instead of just playing classic, because when I used to play WoW, I used to dedicate my time to one character, and or I might have like two characters I dedicated my time, and I would just mainly play the one game, right? But instead now, I played so many different games that I can't find. It's like a specific fix that I'm looking for, and I think it boils down to just less is more, right? If you take the games and you make a level up system in there. It's okay to have different zones with different power scaling levels, because if you're not strong enough to get into those zones, obviously you need to go back and try to figure out a way to grind or level up in your zone, right? And that allows you to explore more stuff, more opportunities in the zones that you can level up in. So I don't think this whole scaling with your level thing, I think that's retarded in most games, but I get why they do it, because it allows new players, I'm one of them, that don't have time to sit there and commit to a game because everybody's busy with life now and the economy is not doing too hot. So, to get into a game and be able to just explore the game without feeling like they have to grind a certain zone. But I think that's what makes those games, um, valuable in a sense that if you go through and you spend the time, you have pride in your character. I have like no allegiance to any game or any character I play anymore. Like, it's hard for me to even have a persona anymore, right? For a specific character that I always used to play, right? Um, in most games. So right now I just play a game and get on, try it out, and then just get done. But I would really like to find an MMO that checks all of those categories, right? Number one, just have something that's you know, explorations. Like you can explore the world and find the cool items that aren't always there. Every time you show back up to that same spot, it's not going to be there. It'll probably be somewhere else in the world now, or somebody might find it or come across it, right? Number two, have a community. And what I mean by community, like what made WoW's classic community so great? Well, no dungeon finder for one, right? That made people talk, and they had guilds and everything else, right? So that's what probably made that more enjoyable. And then number three, like, um, I understand why they had the dungeon finders and stuff like that, right? But could they add a different system to, have people come together in a game? Like, what is there has to be something like, what's wrong with adding, this may sound weird, but what is wrong with adding open voice chat in the game where you can just press a button, a hotkey on your keyboard, and you're in the middle of Stormwind and you can just talk with random people. Sure, you may hear a bunch of random crazy people, but like you can, maybe it turns off in Stormwind, but it turns back on when you're like, you know, um I get it. We got Discord, a lot of, but for me, like I played other games in the past, like Foxhole. I used to play Foxhole, which is a type of game. It's like a war game. It's a really cool, interesting game. If anybody hasn't checked it out, go check it out. It's Foxhole. You find it on Steam, I think. But that right there, and to this day, I think that game still runs the same way. You just pop in the game, and if you want to talk to people, you can hear people talking in game all day long. You want to talk to those random people you walking by, you press the button, you can talk, and then as you get further away, you can't hear them no more. Like that to me is a cool idea. Still, most people are still going to use Discord and stuff, but just to have that in a game, I think brings in more of a community. People can talk, actually talk with each other, and I think that's like number three. One of the biggest thing is that having a different system in these games, and everybody's so offended by, or so worried about offending each other, that I think they even have that. It just people can be toxic. I get it. But you can also turn that off. Like if you don't want to hear people in the game, just turn it off. Maybe if you do want to hear people in the game, just turn it back on. All right. And that right there is a simple, easy system for people to go through and implement in a game like that. And then is thinking about it. Like number four is in game. What brings people back to games? What makes them want to continue on and explore more, right? And I think that's what Skyrim does really well is usually when you play through Skyrim, some people can complete 100% of it, but the game is so massive that there's always something to come back to, right? Um, so, you know, it everything has all its ups and downs. Figuring out the game on like why it doesn't interest people in some ways. I don't know. That's just my thoughts, y'all. I just wanted to bring that up or whatever on why it's been like hard for me to kind of get involved in any game because there's no real, like I feel like I'm just going through the motions. I don't really feel like I have uh you know like I'm not having fun. Like I feel like I'm just trying to get the max level and speed through everything. And I don't know. Like I said, those are just my thoughts on the game. So let me know what you guys think. There's a ton of games out here. So yeah. I appreciate you guys' time. If you guys would like to subscribe to the channel, I really am trying to grow my channel up, but I really don't even know where to start, honestly. Most people have a core game that they want to, stream and, talk about. I kind of just want to go over everything. So, if you like just gaming out, hanging out with people or whatever, come join my channel. Subscribe to me, and then if you see me on playing and stuff like that, I might do some live content, some random stuff. Just come hop and chat and play. Like I'm pretty cool. You can hop in Discord with me. I give you my Discord channel, and you can hop in. We can just chill out. So that's basically what I want to get back to. I want to get back to the old way of gaming, right? Where you actually get to know people. So, I appreciate everybody's time, and I'll see you guys next time.